This for my people. This for my people. Yeah, this for my people. This for my people. This for my people. Yeah, this for my people. Put the white man, put the white man, put the white man, put the white man, put the white.
I just wanna see my enemies fall. Yeah. Hey, look, I just wanna bow. So my niggas stand tall, cause we about to go and get it out. Nigga, I just wanna bow. Look at them 20s where they crawl. I've been praying that my enemies fall. Nigga, I just wanna bow. And I hope you bow too. And that be why I gotta keep it true. Nigga, I just wanna bow. Just give me what I'm due. Let my enemies see the living proof, Lord. I just wanna bow. Trying to build my own city, homie. Enough room to put my niggas on it. Just start a couple business on it. Fuck any heathen never shitted on me. Yeah. Public housing we done lived through. Trying to put that in my real view. Gold rolls, what I still do. I can see the picture with a clear view. Gotta separate the snakes and all you fuck niggas that's gon' hate. Daily pray to God I don't catch another case. But that's a small risk that I feel I gotta take. Only certain niggas, they gon' feel this. Still deliver verses on that real shit. If I get a couple million, I'ma bust this shit down with these children. I just wanna bow. So my niggas stand tall, cause we about to go and get it out. Nigga, I just wanna bow. Look at them 20s where they crawl. I've been praying that my enemies fall. Nigga, I just wanna bow. And I hope you bow too. And that be why I gotta keep it true. Nigga, I just wanna bow. Just give me what I'm due. Let my enemies see the living proof, Lord. I just wanna bow. Yo, get up out of bounds, homie. Got killers with them rounds on them. Look like I'm fed from the drum. Look, don't make me make the reaper rain down on them. I can give a fuck if you rock blue. And I was Sue Woo from the Fruit Town crew. Cops still shoot us every time we move. They hate you, nigga, like they hate me too. Just know that Brotherhood is a weapon. Build another zone, get protected. Too many sisters in the city been molested. Now I'm stacking soldiers off the block like it's Tetris. Woo. Know that truth, it give you chills, don't it? Steady ringing in your ears, won't it? If I'm blessed to make a meal, I'ma bust that shit down with my real homies. I just wanna bow. So my niggas stand tall, cause we about to go and get it out. Nigga, I just wanna bow. Look at them 20s where they crawl. I've been praying that my enemies fall. Nigga, I just wanna bow. And I hope you bow too. And that be why I gotta keep it true. Nigga, I just wanna bow. Just give me what I'm due. Let my enemies see the living proof, Lord. I just wanna bow. Yeah. To all them children that grew up with parents strung out on drugs. Yeah. I just wanna bow. Hope you do too. And I hope you do too. Yeah. Man, to the brother that had a real and she left for whatever reason. Yeah. I just wanna bow. I hope you do too. And to the sister, you know what I'm saying, that had that nigga leaving. Yeah, yeah. Nigga, I just wanna bow. So my niggas is locked up. I hope you do too. Man, I hope you niggas see the light of day. Yeah, I just wanna bow. Yeah, I just wanna bow. I just wanna see my enemies fall. Yeah. Hey, look, I just wanna.
Word up, man. Voting ain't gonna help us, man.
Shit real. Man, it's crazy as hell.
Marching ain't gonna help us, man.
Getting killed every day, still getting hung.
Protesting ain't gonna help us, man.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me, like me, like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me. Gray skies overhead just isn't looking likely. But I try to do the right thing like Spike Lee. And I talk to God, the one and almighty. Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me. Yeah.
Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me.
have mercy
Man,
on
this shit
me.
ain't no joke, man. This shit ain't no joke. Like the boy cried wolf, I ain't blowing no smoke. You don't gotta look far to see it ain't no hope in this fucked up world. I'm just trying to stay afloat. I grew up in the ghetto in the middle of the streets, H-E-L-L, the belly of the beast. Thanksgiving came around, I wasn't having no feast when the landlord talking about breaking out lease. Goddamn, what's next? My girl broke with your boy and she did it in the text that if I couldn't have nothing that I could have love besides love for the money and selling these drugs. Sometimes it seems like it's the only way out, but every day I'm getting older and it's getting played out. Can't end up in a pen trying to find a way out. Lord forgive me for my sins, for my heart gave out. My dad died, biggest loss I ever had to take. He a big part of the reason I'm the man I am today. And moving on was a move I wasn't trying to make, but I got sons now, so I gotta lead them out straight. And even though success is looking unlikely, I stay mighty and pray nightly and remain doing the right thing like Spike Lee, which is hard in this life for a nigga like me. All my life I had to fight like my name's Sophia. Always had heart and in my heart was no fear. Boy, I stayed in some trouble, trouble always stayed near. When you black in America, that's all you cold here. I can't lie. Some days I want to break down and cry for me and my people that's fighting to stay alive. Cause living ain't living when you living to survive. Guess we living in hell till the heavens arrive. Now I mean,
What it's like for a nigga like me.
like me, like me, like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me.
Like me.
What it's like for a nigga like me. Gray skies overhead just isn't looking likely, but I try to do the right thing like Spike Lee, and I talk to God, the one and almighty. Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me. Yeah.
Lord, please have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me.
Have mercy on me. What it's like in this life for a nigga like me. Every day I gotta fight my demons. Wake up, thank God I'm breathing. Cause all nightmares, America's dreaming. Trying to find a way to make it while surrounded by heathens. No stress long as I got a coat and I'm eating. I'm blessed and I know the Most High's the reason. But my heart's bleeding through my sleeve is seeping. For all the things that I've been peeping. Type of shit make you say fuck it and sleeping. Cause while you was sleeping during the evening, for brothers got gunned down over the weekend. Stretched out in the streets left leaking. Laid out white sheet moms grieving. All lives gotta have more meaning than another nigga dead in the paper I'm reading. Baby mama bitching every time that she's speaking. Talking like she gonna take the kids as she's leaving. How we go from kids to ending up in the deep end. Sink or swim, lose or win, saint or sin. Where does the change begin? And when does the bullshit end? Cause I wake up in the morning, gotta do it again. Go to sleep, go to work and just do it again. Damn. Can't pretend, cause when you stand out, it's hard to blend. And what I stand for, don't fold the bend. Cause I heard real folks still got too many friends. Cause when you speak the truth, then you tend to offend. So, while I'm gripping this pen, Lord, please have mercy on me. Amen.
It's time for my people to come together and rise up. The only way we gonna take our royalty back, man, is if we do just that, man. Take it back. Kwame Yashala, nigga. It's time for us to rise out of our oppression. A wise man told me each one teach one.
Yo, 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. How's it sound? Y'all pull it up on the YouTube, the Facebook. Baba Kusha. While you there, make sure you thumbs it up. Check 1 2 1 2. Check. Sound good over here. Good. Ready? All right, Most High Christ. Shalom. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Barakathah to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Alathah. Ba'ashem Yahushua to the sisters. I'm Priest and Officer Bon Kayal of Fayetteville, North Carolina, representing the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, coming out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. And tonight, in typical UPK fashion, it's Tuesday night, so we're going to go into the Brotherhood class, man. And there's a lot going on the earth today. It's a whole lot going on in the earth today, you know, with regard to God's chosen people. And if you Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, you need to understand that you belong to the Most High Power, okay? Unlike what you'll learn in the Christian church, you're not going to learn this anywhere. No university, no upper echelon, a school of thought is going to teach what the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching since 1969 about the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We are God's chosen people, okay? And we're known as the nation of Israel according to what the scriptures say, all right? So what we're going to do is go into a few Brotherhood scriptures, man. I got an article, And I think it's very, very important that we acknowledge other tribes within our nation, man. It's very, very important that you do that. You know, we don't want to become too self-involved or self-absorbed. You know, I hear brothers talking about which tribe is the Lord's favorite. You know, obviously it's Judah, but not Salakia. I say that, you know, from a position of implicit bias, but I love all my brothers and sisters, regardless of what tribe you're from within this nation. I have no love for the other nations, okay? And I would implore you to feel the same way about your brothers and sisters, man. There should be an active initiative in Israel to familiarize yourself with the other tribes within this nation, all right? And by doing so, we better identify with one another, all right? Brotherhood is about coming together, all right? Give me Zephaniah 2:1. We go into these scriptures every week. You know, it's repetition. You want to perfect anything, you got to practice, okay? The brothers are sharpening the sword, literally. I can memorize. My kids know this verse, Zephaniah 2:1. You got it, brother?
Kind of one concert.
Well,
The book.
Go ahead, brother.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
Right. The scriptures command us to gather ourselves together. Matter of fact, you did a Tawab job this weekend. Break that down, brother.
Salakia, sirs. Salakia, sir, is saying, gather yourselves together. It's speaking to the nation of Israel, God's chosen people, telling them, it's giving them like a command.
Emphasize who Israel is.
The blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, the West Indian, Caribbean, South Americans, everybody that's have been oppressed by the oppressor in every other nation throughout history.
Most High in Christ, but keep it simple, okay? And here we learn blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians as a rule of thumb, because you'll start grafting in other nations, as you'll find out when we start reading in this article. You know, like Japheth, that ain't us. You know, them Hawaiians and Polynesians, that's not God's chosen, okay? But go ahead and continue with that verse, brother.
It's saying, gather yourselves together, meaning come together with your brother and create a bond of brotherhood with him.
Right. So when we talk about coming together, we talking about like a family reunion. We talking about a cookout. How can we gather ourselves together according to what this scripture is saying in the spirit of Christ?
It's saying prefer your brother over any other nation, meaning
it means go to church.
It's saying, it's not saying go to church, it's saying separate from
Who's teaching separation in the earth? I'm gonna help you out.
Who's teaching separation?
Yeah, who's teaching separation within the earth, upon the earth? Is the Christian church teaching separation? What is the church teaching?
Unity for all men. Unity,
but under the guise of division. The Christian church is very, very divisive. You know, because of all the it's over 40,000 denominations within Christendom, right? But they teach that, you know, God loves everyone, right? So they don't put any emphasis on God's chosen, according to what this Bible says. They make no inference to that, to the nation of Israel. They'll even deflect to the bastards that are living in the Holy Land right now. You know, the so-called Jew or the so-called Jewish man. You know, we know that is the synagogue of Satan, according to what the book of Revelations teaches. Okay, so who's teaching this? Who's teaching true separation?
Salakia, so is it Christ?
Christ did teach separation. He said, I come as a sword. Christ taught separation. Don't get it confused. The Christian church will have you believe that Christ was a homosexual, man. They teach pacifism, okay? And that's never been the spirit on our people. Even in captivity, that never been the spirit of our people to be pacifists. You read about all the rebellions and revolutions. Why do you think that Nat Turner, his name rings bells within the earth? Toussaint Overton, why do you think those names mean something? We talk about Gullah Jack, right? That's a song that brothers is embracing, right? You go into the history of that, you'll see that at the root of that is brothers that have a warlike spirit, man. I got a book. Matter of fact, this book here, The Way of the Warrior, man. This is a heavy book that I picked up this about 2 weeks ago, man. And I know I'm guilty of it. You know, I focus on Judah, what's affecting so-called Negroes, overlooking what's happening to the Hispanics and Native Indians, okay? You need to familiarize yourself with the other tribes, all right? Judah cannot be its own separate microcosm, separate from Israel, okay? We are one body, one spirit. We one nation. We one goddamn family, man, all right? This is not the Christian church. And what I found out when I picked up this book, I was blown away, man. The hair on the back of my neck was standing up, because in this book, it talks about Native Indian tribes and warriors from these Native Indian tribes, and just their spirit of rebellion that the Native Indian had with regard to the so-called oppressor, man. It was inspiring, okay? I could go through it and show you pictures of these warriors, and you'll be like, man, they look like family. They look like family. You should familiarize yourself with names like White Belly from the Sioux Indians, or Two Leggings from the Crow. Some of the pictures here, you know, and they talk about in this book, man, how you all are learning the YAHANNA, the brothers that are fortunate and have the gall to want to go through Hebrew Academy. You're learning an ancient form of warfare, man. You're learning how to make war with your hands in the same spirit of King David. You know, what kind of warfare did you think that we learned when we were in our homeland? What did we learn? These Native Indians, man, they taught their sons and their daughters how to fight, how to protect, you know, the family, the vested interests of the nation. You know, and it's real interesting. Matter of fact, y'all can take a look at that. You know, but by us familiarizing ourselves with the other nations, man, we can better identify with one another. You know, we can go into the curses, starting in the book of Deuteronomy, you know, and draw parallels, direct correlations between what the scriptures say happened to God's chosen people and what actually happened in real time via history. Not the history that they whitewash, but the actual history. That critical race theory that they're trying to do away with, it's a real thing. And it's left an indelible mark upon God's chosen people, okay? That's the reason why you can identify who they are today based off of those curses. And the Lord made it so simple. He put it right in your face, man. The Christian church, they don't want to talk about the Old Testament because that's where our identity is initially presented in the Old Testament, okay? We finished with Zephaniah?
Kind of.
You don't keep reading that?
Oh, Salaki. Gather together, O nation not desired.
Right, gather together, O nation not desired. So we already know nobody likes Negroes, right? But when it comes down to America, or the inception of America, the nations that were not desired was the Native Indian, man. The indigenous peoples of North, Central, and South America, man. They were a nation that was not desired. Give me some terms that the so-called oppressor used to describe those peoples. Judah is heavy in here, man. Well, we might have Benjamin in here somewhere. Go ahead, brother.
They call Indian would be savages.
Savages. That's the word I want. They call them savages. Why do they call them savage?
Salaki, sir, it's because they didn't understand the lifestyle that they were living, but they were living off the land.
Most High in Christ. Because they weren't Christians. Because they didn't believe in the lie of white supremacy. They had their own identity at one point in time, albeit wrong, which is the reason why they were overtaken by the oppressor. You know, you think about those early explorers like Christopher Columbus, you know, his legacy is rape, robbery, and murder. Okay, you think about the conquistadors and all the pillaging and the stealing and all the blood that was shed. The spirit of Hebrew Academy this year is what? What's the theme? Go ahead, brother.
Blood of my brother.
The what?
Blood of my brother.
It means something. It absolutely means something. And, you know, 9/11 is coming up. You know, the theme for America is to what? To never forget, right?
Right.
You should never forget the blood of your brothers, man, that was spilled in vain.
Right.
You know, spilled at the hands of some goddamn heathens, man. You're God's chosen. Your blood is valuable. You're valuable. If you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, your life means something, man. It absolutely means something. But it means nothing if you're not keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. It means nothing if you're just in the world, getting up, living aimlessly. You do whatever the hell you please from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. General Muhammad was talking about how your body, it wants to kill itself. You know, you do things that are caustically destructive. Your habits. First thing you do, wake up in the morning and spark a cigarette or a blunt. And what does that do for you? You got to smoke a blunt so that you can get an appetite, right? You need that rush from the nicotine or that buzz from whatever drug you're doing, you know. That's not customary of our tradition, of our heritage. That's not anything that God's chosen should be doing, okay? But because we've been joined to the oppressor, we've learned their ways, okay? We're a nation that is not desired, man. And the example, just based off of the history of the Native Indian, those early interactions, I'm disgusted. And when Thanksgiving comes around, because that narrative, that's a false narrative. The teaching of the Pilgrims and the Indians coming together and being on one accord, you know, that's a lie, man. It was never that way. It's never been that way. It's not that way today. You think about what's happening at the borders. We're gonna get into that, man. Some of the ways or benefits of us familiarizing ourselves with the other nation, with the other tribes within our nation, we acknowledge and address differences that we might have. What are some of those differences that are present amongst the tribes? What makes Judah different from Benjamin, and Benjamin different from Levi, and Levi different from Issachar? What are those differences? Yeah, those are things we need to be thinking about. Because are they not our brothers? You say you love your brother. How you love your brother? You don't know your brother. You can't recognize or identify your brother. Every time I see a Issacharite, you know, and I hear him speak Spanish, I always say mi hermano, and they always smile. I have yet to say that to an Issacharite brother, and they not smile, you know, because they know it too. They know it too. They know that we share the same burden, man. We share the same oppression. We have the same enemy in the so-called oppressor. He's our common enemy, okay? But what are some things that divide us? We're gonna have one of these classes. I'm going to just start calling them brothers. Go ahead, Officer Quadam.
Christianity.
Christianity, okay, yeah. Christianity definitely is, I guess, the major thing that divides us. When we think about Christianity, elaborate. Why would you say Christianity?
Christianity teaches us to love everyone. You know what I'm saying? It teaches us to love our oppressor. So in essence, we love our oppressor, meaning we hate our brother.
Okay, so when you think about the type of Christianity that Judah embraces, it's different than the type of Christianity that Issachar embraces. No. Is it not?
No.
What's the difference? Go ahead, brother.
Salakia, Issachar I.S.U.P.K usually worship Catholicism and Mother Mary. This is why you see a lot of those saints, or even when it comes to the narcos, they believe in those drug saints and stuff like that.
Right. It's all garbage, right? It's all white supremacy, in all honesty. Uh-oh. Go ahead off. Slocky, sir.
Colorism.
Most High in Christ. Give that brother a hand, man. He is absolutely right. What about colorism? For the brothers that's in the room.
Salakius, just from my experiences talking to I.S.U.P.K brothers, they tell me how their elders in their family will rather them marry a white person or an oppressor than a darker skinned brother, even in their own race.
Right.
They would prefer that because for some reason they think the darker you are, the more devalued of a human being you are.
That's white supremacy, man. You know, the whole concept of thinking that, you know, white equates to purity, you know, it's hard for me to really eloquently, you know, convey that thought. You know, you have to really be destroyed to identify or to negate what you are and hold something else in a higher regard. Okay. When I was in the Christian church, well, when the old man was in the Christian church, you know, I didn't recognize that we were worshiping a white God, a white Messiah, you know, white angels, all the prophets. I mean, we have volume upon volume of different books, you know, that talk about Bible stories. And not once were there was no emphasis on dark skin or melanated people in those books. They were all white. And that's a crime, man. That's criminal because, you know, that's not how the world looks. You got melanated people all over the globe. If anything, they're the minority.
Right.
You know, that's an abnormality. You know, anything that is devoid of melanin, essentially, you know, you would think that's a random mutation. You go into a cave and you find things without color. You know what I'm saying? That's why we call the so-called oppressor a troglodyte, because that's where he dwells within the cleft of the rock, right?
Right.
Go ahead, brother.
Oh, so like I was gonna say, you know, that's not the Bible either. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The Bible got all nations in it. You know what I'm saying? So I was saying like that ain't the Bible. Everybody white.
Right. And I know you all probably saw the psychological experiment where they placed the black baby doll, the dark skinned baby doll with the white baby doll, and presented it to the children, and had the children determine which one they liked, or which one was bad, or which one was evil, which one was good. And it was always negative when it came down to the black baby doll. Okay. Why is that? These are children. These are absolute children. They were taught that. They were taught that because of what? America, or because of Christianity? That's the climate of this culture. That's the climate of society. That's the status quo. You know, is that white is right, you know, and black is whack. You know what I'm saying? But we know what that to be the inverse. You know, what they taught against us essentially was it was flipped around. You know, so the things that we look at as being negative, if you're in a Christian church, you see a brother that got braids, you automatically think he's what? Unintelligent, unemployed, ignorant. See a brother with gold teeth. Oh my God. He's a what? A criminal, a thug, you know? And all those things are very, very glorious. Those things are in the scriptures, man. You know? Anyhow, colorism, that was a good one. Trooper Awabad. The scriptures say that Israel is a speckled bird. Go ahead, Officer Sham, y'all.
I was going to just add one to you was asking what divides the Europeans' language.
Most High, give that brother a hand. Damn right. We deal with language barriers.
That's right.
Okay. You know, we talk about in the curses, you know, a nation whose tongue, you know, our fathers didn't know, essentially. I don't know if I'm breaking that down correctly, but we don't understand the oppressor's language.
That's right.
You ever read a contract, a formal contract? Brother, you'll get lost in the English lexicon. You have to have a lawyer or somebody that's well versed in that in the language. You got to have an actual attorney to help you decipher this language, man. And it's not common talk. That's why when we on the street, they always say, speak plainly, you know, talk plainly. Don't be up there on the podium, you know, having a dissertation, literally. You know, you got to use common speech, use a common tongue. We have our own language, separate from our oppressor's language, and we're learning it. Anybody, what's our language?
Salakia, so they call it what? Ebonics? Or
Who? You said empanadas.
Oh, Salakia.
You hungry?
Hebrew.
Oh, okay. Right. But Officer Ayathon, you had your hand up? No. We're talking about our language. What is our language? So-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Most High in Christ, the La Shawan Kodash. What does that mean? What does the La Shawan Kodash mean?
The Holy Tongue.
The Holy Tongue. Break it on down. We have a holy tongue. What does holy mean? Separate. We've got a set apart language, man, that's different than what our oppressor speaks, than what these other heathen nations speak, man. And there's real value in knowing that. But you won't know that if you're stuck in the Christian church. You won't know that. You'll be speaking in tongues. I'm coming in a Honda. Is that what they say? Go ahead, sir.
I'm just thinking, not knowing like your tongue, and you get caught up in colorism, and in the Christian church, you lose your self-esteem, man.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? You really lose your self-esteem. This world robs you every chance that it gets. You know what I'm saying? To take away your self-esteem. The thing that you would take joy in, just the way we communicate. If I put you in a different setting, you may change it the way that you speak. But you call it code switching.
Code switching. Right? That's right.
So code switching is another thing. It's just obvious that it's messing with your self-esteem. From the way that you dress. Like you dress, you know, like we dress. But then if I put you in a different environment, guess what we tend to do? Change it how we dress. So it's messing with your self-esteem, how you talk, how you walk, how you dress. Like we in the truth, we learn it's okay to have a beard. You learn it's your culture to have a beard that's woolly and rough. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. It don't have to be all lined up.
Right.
But if I put you in a different environment, guess what you'll do? You may change it up. Those things destroy our self-esteem. You understand? And we see it with the sisters and the brothers as well. A sister feel like she got to be halfway nude to get some kind of attention from a brother. But the attention that she get destroys her self-esteem.
That's right.
But she really just wants somebody to say, hello, how you doing? You having a good day?
Right.
Same thing for a brother. A brother put himself in harm's way, selling dope and all this, but we really want to just say, I'm cool. So everything in this empire is designed to destroy our self-esteem. So much so that they hide everything that you should value in front of our faces. You know what I'm saying? They hide every single thing, and it's designed for us to. It's designed to destroy our self-esteem.
Yeah, right. Damn right. Get that brother a hand, man. Go ahead, brother.
Salaki, if I may, sir, I'm trying to find it along, but I know there was a saying that said, "Kill the Indian and save the man."
We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into that. No. Go ahead. You can drop your bars real quick. You know what I'm saying?
And it's so heavy, like you know what I'm saying, Ottawa was saying, because not only do we lose our self-esteem, we lose who we are culturally.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So and I got it out of Google. It said the purpose of the school was to strip Native Americans of their cultural traditions and teach them the skills necessary to function in American society. So, you know what I'm saying? Just like today, you know what I'm saying? We think it's functional to celebrate our birthday.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We think it's functional to go to church.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We think it's functional to love our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? And those are ways that they taught us by killing that Indian and saving the men.
Right. Well, we're gonna get into that, brother. I mean, that's a real heavy point. You know, we're going to reiterate what the officer brought out prematurely in here. Most High in Christ, though, we're in the same spirit, man. And that's a beautiful thing that you were able to recognize that just on the strength of what we're talking about, you know. But yeah, man, we have to recognize the similarities or the commonality between us as the nation of Israel. If you Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, we have more in common than we do separate.
Right.
Okay. That's right. Matter of fact, let's go to that Deuteronomy 28 and 49. You know, we're talking about familiarizing ourselves with the other tribes within our nation, specifically the Native Indian. Okay. And I got a book circulating around here of some real strong Indian or Native Indian warriors, man, you know, that fought against our oppressor, man. Right. They said it was an honor. That was the greatest honor in life, was for you to fight and to die, you know, with honor. And that's what they would teach the children. Okay. We understand in here that first death is spiritual. Right. We die to the carnality of the world, man. Right. Okay. You don't have to, our weapons of warfare are not carnal. You know, we allow the most high fights our battles, you know, but he won't fight for you unless you're obedient. You know, and the church teaches that the laws are done away with, which is your safeguard. Your safeguard is in keeping those laws, statutes, commandments. Okay. So they're setting you up for failure. Don't send your kids to no damn church school, man. Don't allow your rib to go to no church on Sunday or Saturday. If it's a Christian church, you know, that's the number one weapon used to spoil our households, man. That's right. You know? Yeah, right. You got that scripture, brother? Deuteronomy 28 and 49?
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from Salakia, against thee from far.
What's that movie? Apocalypto? Right. You remember when the brother, he was trying to save his rib, and they go on the beach. He's being pursued by the other tribes. Right. They don't even recognize that they're the same. Right. You know, for whatever reason, they were divided. I guess they worshiped a separate God or what have you. But when they looked off into the distance, they had to forget about the beef that they had internally and recognize that they had an external force that was coming, and they didn't know what that was. To see those ships coming from afar, can you imagine? Just imagine when that sky cracks and you see them chariots. It's going to be the same look on everybody's face. Well, not us. We're expecting them. We're praying for that. That's right. I can't wait to shed those tears of joy. Salakia. So the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar. So the conquistadors and Christopher Columbus and the European, they came from afar. They came from what? They crossed the Atlantic and the Caribbean to get here to the land of the north, right? That's from afar, right? And the Lord did that. The Most High Power did that. Why did he do that? Go ahead. I want to say officer so bad. You got to earn that, though. Go ahead, trooper.
Salakia, sir. He sent the nation from afar to punish his chosen children.
Why?
Because we were transgressing the law.
We're transgressing the law. We're being disobedient. When your child is disobedient and they're cutting up in school, they're not walking circumspect to your way, then what happens? You got to punish them. You got to hold them accountable, right? Then we got to give them that rod of correction, right? Because foolishness is reigning within their heart, essentially. Right. Keep reading that verse.
From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flyeth.
Right. Those ships, they got here swiftly, man. They were cutting through the Atlantic and the Caribbean, you know, with ease to get here. You know, you ever seen somebody, man, I don't know, certain brothers that have like a zeal for making money, you know, somebody that's like on a paper chase, like it's a different type of drive, you know what I mean? And those Europeans, they had a thirst for just wanting to put a people in bondage. What was the reason for them leaving and going on that journey? They had to know something about God's chosen people. They were in search of what? Shamar, you know this history better than I do. Go ahead, brother.
So like, I do know they say that Columbus used the Apocrypha.
Right.
That's how he ended where he was.
He had an Israelite
interpreter. That's right.
Interpreter to help him navigate, right?
That's right.
And they came in search of what?
Essentially Israelites.
Israelites, right?
That's right.
The God's chosen, you know, because there's real value there, you know. And when they got here, what they do? What did the conquistadors what did they do to the native Indian? Was it a peaceful interaction? We talk about as swift as an eagle fly. Have you ever seen an eagle hunting? It's a bird of prey. It's called a raptor, okay? And these birds, man, they have a different energy about them. They don't move like a pigeon. They don't move like a dove or a sparrow. Eagle moves swiftly. Eagle moves with real purpose. And what is the purpose of an eagle? They call it a bird of prey. That's the nation that the Lord sent against you, a bird of prey, essentially. They have the same characteristics of an eagle. No regard. I seen a video of, was it a harpy eagle or golden eagle? Pick up a baby, man. Eagle swooped down in this valley and picked up this baby, man. He didn't give a damn that it was a baby or a human being. It just saw prey. But fortunately, I guess the father was able to come over there and swat it and get the baby back. I seen something on social media a few years ago down in Hope Mills. I don't know if it was a falcon or if it was a hawk that grabbed this joint. This lady had walked her Pomeranian, and you could see the eagle's claws or the bird of prey's claws in the back of this Pomeranian. You know, in the vet bill, I think it was like $1,000 or something, but it was just like, man, this is a bird of prey. That's what they do. They kill, they stalk, they hunt. That's what the European did to the native Indian when they came across from afar, essentially. Keep reading that scripture.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
The brother just brought that out. You know, we talk about the language barrier. You know, that's one of the reasons why we're so disconnected and we don't recognize the value in each other as one family because of that language barrier. Right. Where did that come from? Where'd the language barrier come from? The Most High. Right. The Most High said that in the earth. Right. We talked about the Tower of Babel before. I was sleeping here, man. Keep reading, brother.
Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance.
Right.
Which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young.
Right. They don't give a damn if you old or you young. It don't matter. Normally you would have respect for the elderly. You know, you would honor them. You would hold them in a certain regard. You know, you hold the door open for them. You help an old lady cross the street. You know, help her with her groceries or whatever. Even with the children, you know, the children need to be cared for, right? We were talking about that in the car. Right. How a brother won't run down on you. If you're the op, they're not going to run down on you because there's a code. You're there with your family. You're there with your children. Right. So you're not going to gun you down in front of your children, okay? But it's different now on the earth. Mm-hmm. Brothers don't have a code. We don't recognize the value in one another, right. Okay? That's right. Let's get to the article, man. We're talking about not showing favor to the old or the young. Read the title of that article when you got the opportunity to, brother.
Code switch. Indian boarding schools' traumatic legacy in the fight to get native ancestors back.
Right. Keep going.
After the remains of more than 1,300 First Nation students were discovered at the former sites.
Right. So when you see that term First Nations, I know a lot of people use it loosely, but it specifically describes the nations of the Native Indians that live in Canada, okay? And you have to be very, very careful with regard to that because further north you go, the things get lost in translation. You don't want to graft in a people that is not of the nation, okay? We talk about like the Eskimos and such, but keep reading.
Kanawakan, discovered at the former sites of Canada's residential schools earlier this year.
Remains, right? The remains of 1,300 First Nation students. So these were the remains of children, 1,300 of them. This was major news. Go ahead, Officer Shamyar.
That's that know what God for the young or the old, right there.
That's it right there. Most High in Christ. Keep reading, brother.
The U.S. is now facing its own moment of reckoning with its history of Native American boarding schools.
America has to face a reckoning with regard to how they treat any of the tribes, any of the tribes of the nation of Israel, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right.
But we're talking about a specific tribe now. We're talking about who? We talk about the Native Indians. Who was that? Do y'all know any Native Indian tribes? Go ahead, run them down. Tell them. I want to know. I want to know who they are. Gadites, but be more specific. Okay, if I say, can you name some gangs? Because not all gangs are the same. I know niggas know that. Well, give me some gang names.
They got some GDs.
Straight to that. Go ahead and get them out the way. Keep going.
We got some. We get the traditional Crips and Bloods.
Right.
You got what's that? Blackstones. What's the Latin Kings? You got.
Hey, you a city nigga. I want a country nigga to tell. Give me some gangs. We just know Crips and Bloods. you going in.
So like it all.
Most High in Christ though.
I know from being in the South, the folk.
Right.
Folk.
Right.
You got the Haitian gangs in Florida, the Zoes, I think they call it. Z's and Zoes.
Well, you was out there, wasn't you?
Ah.
Good night. I'm glad that you in here. You know, get a Lord a hand for that. Straight up. But when it comes down to the Gadites or the Native Indian, you know, we're here in North Carolina. I mean, you can't go through Pembroke and not recognize a certain tribe of Gadite through the Lumbee, right? Give me some names of the tribes. Go ahead, brother.
Cherokee, Blackfoot, Comanche,
Yeah.
Seminole,
Right.
Chickasaw. What's up? Apache. There you go.
You said who said Comanche?
I said Comanche. Said
Okay. Yeah, it's a whole gang of them, man. I know the Cherokee predominantly were in this area, but the Choctaw,
That's right.
the Tuscarora, that's the one. You ever seen the Tuscarora? Good night.
They look like us.
Woo.
Creek.
Mm-hmm. Anybody ever been down to Lake Waccamaw? It's named after a Native Indian tribe, the Waccamaw. It's a whole gang of them. It's a simple Google search. You can find all the listing. I think it's like 18 of them here in North Carolina specifically. But then we also have other Native Indians, like we talk about Reuben, we talk about Asher, Naphtali, and I would even liken to say Issachar. You know, there's parallels between the Hispanics and the Native Indians. Okay. And some Issacharites look like Judahites. You know, we share phenotypical characteristics, you know. That's yeah, that's a good one right there. All right, keep reading the article, brother.
Kanawakan. In response to these findings, Secretary of Interior Deb Haaland, a member of the Pueblo of Laguana, announced a federal Indian boarding school initiative to review the troubled legacy of federal boarding school policies.
All right, so boarding school is nothing more than a school that adolescents or youth get sent to, they get sent away from their home, away from, the protection, the security of their family. And you would think you're sending your kid to a school where they're going to get treated with the same honor that you would treat them. Okay. But they're not. Those Indians, those Native Indians, those Gadites that went to these boarding schools, they weren't treated with respect when they got there. Okay. And we're going to get into it. Keep reading.
Karawanka. In Carlisle, Pennsylvania, efforts have been underway since 2016 to return the remains of Native children to their proper resting places.
Now, where would be their proper resting places? Because Jerusalem is the mother of us all, if I'm not mistaken. So that our oppressor has it wrong from the jump anyhow.
Right.
Okay. When we talk about, this being the land of our captivity, where would the Native Indians, we say it all the time when we at camp, this city was built upon the bones of whatever Native Indian tribe is in your region. Your respective zones, it would behoove you to figure out what Native Indian tribes, what Gadite tribes were in your area, because there's a direct parallel that you could connect with those tribes in that area, and we're in the season of fishing. Okay. I want to be able to fish other tribes into these classrooms, not just Judah, not just Benjamin, I want to see some more Gadites come to class, man.
That's right.
It's very, very important. But unless we out here spreading this truth, it's not. Nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is teaching this.
That's right.
Keep reading.
Carlisle was home to the first off-reservation Indian boarding school in the U.S.
So first of all, that sentence right there is crazy to me. It says off reservation.
Right.
Off reservation. The Native Indians were pushed off their homelands onto reservations. And now you're going to separate this child from the reservation? You talk about being displaced. The brother just talked about self-esteem issues. We have no correlation to who we are, let alone where we're supposed to be. I don't know if any of y'all were in a military household, but when your parents get PCS, your father, your mother, they get PCS to another state, another city, you uproot that child, man, it's disruptive. That's traumatizing.
Right.
Okay, let alone being forced off of your homelands in the manner by which Andrew Jackson, forced the Cherokee off their homelands. We talk about the Indian Removal Act, the 1830. We're gonna get into another treaty or initiative with regard to Indian removal. Keep reading.
Carlisle's Indian Industrial School. Today, it's an Army barracks, home to the U.S. Army War College for senior officers.
Right.
But from 1879 to 1918, it housed Native students from tribes across America with the express purpose of assimilating them into American culture.
So that's a big word there, assimilating. What does that mean? What does it mean to assimilate? Give me a definition. You can give it to me off the top. We talk about assimilation. What does that mean? There you go. Most High in Christ. Go ahead, Officer Shamyar.
Assimilate. It means to take into the mind and thoroughly understand. To take in and utilize as nourishment. To absorb into the cultural tradition of a population or group. To make similar.
Most High in Christ. So when we talk about assimilating the Native Indian into American culture, what type of changes do you think they endured? Having to turn their back or to forget the ways of, their heritage or their history, their forefathers, everything that their parents taught them, their grandparents taught them, their aunts and uncles taught them. And now they're learning that they have some strange nation. They're being assimilated to what? Acknowledge their birthday?
Right.
Worship Caesar Borgia? Right. Worship a white Jesus? Celebrate Christmas? Now you believe in Easter bunnies and you know, all that nonsense, man. Keep reading the article, brother.
Kind.
And what's so heavy too about that is the fact that, you know, go ahead, brother.
Also, like, and I was gonna add something. You know, they want you to assimilate until they're able to use something that it was unique. So, like in World War I or II, they use the native language. That's right. They use the native language so that the Germans didn't know what they were saying in between.
Right.
But they want you to assimilate as long as right. That's gonna benefit us.
Oh yeah, you're talking about exploitation.
Right.
You know, they always do that. They pick and choose what they wanna use with regard to us. Like, you know, they don't want you unless you're singing a song or cutting a jig. Right. You know what I mean? And it's a very disgusting thing what has happened to our people.
Sister Lana, Sister Dulcie, she said they had to cut their hair.
She reading the same article. Most High Christ. She's absolutely right. Cutting of the hair, right?
She said with them that was humiliating.
To cut their hair. And this is a true Issacharite. She knows this. So what did they tell you today? I know we couldn't. Go ahead, brother.
His child turned 1 year old. Take him to the barbershop, get his first haircut. He be in that chair cutting the damn food. Spiritually, he gotta know it's wrong.
Right.
Like, what the hell are you doing with this damn clippers on my head? This loud noise.
Right.
The blades everywhere. He don't know what the hell going on.
Right. Well, we've all done it. The baby look even more weird, you know, when you do that. I skint my son, you know, when he turned 1, and he looking crazy, you know, with that hair. That hair is like a helmet for a child at that age.
Right.
You know, you're still like a toddler. You know, so you walking around, you stumbling. The Lord put that hair on your head for a reason, you know. But yeah, that goes against our culture to not what? But to create baldness.
Right.
Good night. But the sister's absolutely right. In order for you to assimilate into American culture, that's why the hippies, they look down upon the so-called hippies because they let their hair grow, you know, grow long and get matted. And they start to embrace East Indian culture with regard to the dreadlocks, you know. But I remember when we were in school, we couldn't play on the basketball team unless we cut our hair.
Right.
And I remember this brother had braids, man. He went and got his hair braided in the hood by one of our sisters, man, and she freaked it. I remember that joint like it was yesterday. And moms was not having it. She said, you are not walking in church with your hair braided like that. And you had to take it out. It was fresh too, man. Salakia. We'll continue with the article, brother.
Barbara Landis, a retired biographer and historian who has studied the school extensively, gives tours of the barracks on occasion. During a tour I attended earlier this month, she pointed out a row of white houses that surround a grassy commons. These 3 cottages you see down along the perimeter of the southern portion of the school grounds, Landis said, were cottages that were built by Native American children as part of their industrial training.
Right. So like that goes along with the spirit of us building America, man. They always tell you to what? Go back to Africa, right? You hate it here. Go back to Africa. Go back to wherever you're from. Why would we do that? We built this place. We made this place as grand and as beautiful as it is right now. You know, Salakia. And these, this is almost like trade school. You know, you go to trade school to learn a trade. You know, and that's looked down upon today. First thing they want to do is send you to a 4-year institution. You know, when you should teach your children to go to a trade school so they can pick up something that they can actually, make money from. There's nothing wrong with picking up a trade. You can go into business for yourself and not go into debt, not have, looming student loan debt for the remainder of your life, because they go to a 4-year institution and overlook sending you to a tech school or community college, man. There's nothing wrong with getting a 2-year degree. It's a lot of brothers out here living off of certifications, making 6 figures, man. Don't believe the hype. It's a goddamn pipe dream. Okay? Keep reading, brother.
The Carlisle School had academic training for half the day and the industrial training the other half.
It's like a co-op, like a dual tech prep. Some kids go to school and they pick up a trade. When I was in school, I was going to be a CNA. So half of the day I learned about what it takes to be a nurse, and then the other half I'm doing clinicals. Go ahead, brother.
Salaki, this is one of the times where this is similar. Brothers and sisters, that was your forefathers, foremothers was in the slave in the field. You went north to those industrial jobs. So it was the same thing what they were doing with the Native Indian.
That's right.
Sending them, training them to do industrial jobs.
That's right. Go ahead, brother. Keep reading.
Essentially cheap manual labor.
Free labor.
That's right.
They didn't give them no kind of payment for doing this outside of what? Room and board?
That's right.
That's probably what it equated to. Earn your keep. You know what I'm saying? If you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't work, you have no place to sleep. That's what I'm pretty sure that is exactly what the conditions were.
Right.
Keep reading.
Many of the buildings were constructed by students as part of this program, but they will also be sent out into the surrounding community to provide work for non-native families.
Can you imagine how that would be with the language barrier? You just learning how to speak English from whatever your native tongue was, and they send you out into the community to work for, other devils that have zero regard for you, no compassion, no empathy.
Right.
Keep reading.
The boys were given construction and farm work, while the girls would serve in the home.
Right.
But upon entering the barracks, the first thing one will notice is the cemetery. Rows of white headstones where students are buried. Over 4 decades, roughly 8,000 students attended the school, and nearly 200 were buried here.
That's ridiculous, man. Right. We're talking about a boarding school, okay? Any school. How often does a child die in a school year? Man, keep reading that article, man.
So, like, if I may.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man.
Now, what's amazing about this is something that we have to look and find, right? But when we talk about American history, right, they glorify all the bull crap that they put in front of us every single goddamn day. Right. You learn about Mount Rushmore and the Declaration of Independence and all that. Why don't we ever find this in American history? Right. Why don't we ever find the real struggle in the people who done the work to make this place what it is today? When you talk about the slavery of the so-called Black, Hispanics, Native Indians, it's always looked at as a thing that glorifies America.
Right.
Never to the point where it diminishes what they say it's supposed to stand for.
That's right.
You understand? They always prop it up to support their cause. You understand? At the suffering of who? The Lord's chosen people. Right. And this is the thing that makes you stand for the Lord. It's that thing that should make the goddamn hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Right.
Because you have to go and find these articles about what they've done to us as a nation of people. When you see our people and you see the way we struggle, these are the things that we have to look and find. So when you see the brothers and sisters that are struggling, try to look and find and see what they've done behind closed doors as to why we suffer the way we do. We talked about earlier about the self-esteem issues. What is done behind closed doors that destroys us the way that it is?
Right.
The way that we are. It's the hiding of those things to make us what, like you said, assimilate.
That's right.
If I can hide this truth from you, you'll be more inclined to assimilate to the things that I'm presenting to you, and you'll forget about what you came from or where you came from to appease what? My cause.
That's right.
My purpose. And then they'll hide it all behind manifest destiny.
Right.
And you don't even find out what the hell that crap is till you goddamn 63 years old. You understand?
Right.
It's a bunch of bullshit, if I may. And when I read this thing, like when I hear about it, and the things that you only learn about in I.S.U.P.K.
That's right.
Somebody who really gives a damn about the people. You hear all these pro-black movements and all this, but you never hear this truth.
That's right.
You learned about Tulsa, Oklahoma when you a full-blown adult. Why don't these babies know about Tulsa, Oklahoma? Why don't they know about Greenwood? You understand? You didn't even know who goddamn who was the brother George Stinney. You got Kanye put what's the brother that they so-called say whistled at this oppressor? Emmett Till. Didn't even know who the hell Emmett Till was till Kanye put him in his song. You see what I'm saying? This is the chaos of America, where they prop up everything that shine like gold, but beneath it all, it's all tarnished. You understand? That's America, man. So we got to strip out these layers, man. You got to use this Bible to really do the research and find what it is that they hide from us. And it's our culture, and it's how we're supposed to treat each other as brothers and sisters. And if we can find that, we'll be more inclined to scratch the surface of what they present in front of us. You understand? Yeah, right. To figure out what's in that goddamn grave. You understand?
That's right.
All right, that's it, brother.
Right. Get this brother the cam. Oh man, Most High in Christ. Keep reading our article, brother.
Khan. Now the number of graves at Carlisle's is criminally dropping since efforts began several years ago to return the remains of students to their tribes and families.
Okay, keep reading.
At times, parents of students at Carlisle's would receive notice of their child's passing only after they had been buried.
Now read that again.
Khan. At times, parents of students at Carlisle would receive notice of their child's passing only after they had been buried.
Give me Deuteronomy 28:32. Baba Kushab. This is criminal. What happened to God's chosen, man?
Right.
This right here is a crime against humanity.
Right.
Okay. And we always talk about this verse, and we think about.
Hey, Sister Doe said she said they would try to make reparation to save face or practice. She said, she try to give out reparations, but I was thinking to myself, who the hell want reparation when you just lost a child?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Think about everything that you've been through. We know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
What would you rather have? Your history, your culture, your family, your great aunts and uncles, all those traditions that were passed down,
right?
Or some money, right? What would you rather have? And then they pass it out like, well, all you need is 40 acres and a mule.
Right.
Sick of it, man.
Right. It's disgusting. Man.
Right. Damn, it's sick.
And Christianity it is the worship of the white man, essentially. It's white supremacy, but it's the worship of mammon. They want you to value money more than life, and it's a real sick thing. It's sick and sadistic. Go ahead, brother.
And to go over what our society is saying, that just shows you the people that we're dealing with, man. That shows you what they really care about.
Right.
They'll take a life for $1, man. That's why you see blacks and Hispanics killing each other over $5.
Right.
That's what our oppressor does. That's what they taught us to do. Money is more important than a life.
Right. That's right. No, Most High in Christ. The water for that, brother. A nation of fierce what? Countenance, man. You kill somebody over a few bucks? That's ridiculous, man. Who got Deuteronomy 28:32?
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
These children that were sent to the Carlisle school were given unto who?
Another people.
Continue.
and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long.
At times, parents of the students at Carlisle will receive notice of their child's passing only after they have been buried. Can you imagine the grief you'll be dealing with for the rest of your life? Put yourself in the shoes of those parents, man. I don't even think they had a choice to send those kids to those boarding schools, man. Right. They sent them thinking that they would be in safekeeping, you know, thinking that their needs are going to be met. They have food, clothing, and shelter, and they're going to get an education. Right. They're going to come back with skills that's going to have them be a viable, useful member of society, you know, in the community, right? But while they're there at the Carlisle school, what's happening? What's happening at Carlisle school, man? Keep reading that verse.
Come. And there shall be no might in thine hand.
Right. Most High Christ. Keep reading that article, brother. Salakia. There was no might in their hand. They were powerless. I mean, what the hell could they have done upon receiving notice that your baby is dead and buried cold in the earth? Go ahead, Officer Shamyar.
Salakia, and then no might in your hand. You have memories of the Trail of Tears. You know what your oppressor is capable of doing to you if you don't go along with it.
Right, because you living on the reservation.
That's right. You know what they're capable of doing. That's right.
So your existence is a nightmare,
That's
man.
right.
Your reality is a crime. Go ahead, brother.
No might in our hands, like Officer Shamyar was saying, Trail of Tears. You know what I'm saying? Slavery when it comes to blacks. Babies trapped in cages when it comes to Hispanics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like our Levi brothers and sisters trapped on an island during a hurricane.
Right.
New Orleans, Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Ida.
Right.
No might in our hands. Like, we can't get away from these people, man.
That's
and
right.
that shows us that we the same people. We going through the same thing.
Right.
That's right.
None of us have no might in our hands.
That's right. Hey. No, it goes right back. Even with that, you talk about integration process. You know what I'm saying? When they say it would be better for us to go integrate into to the public school system, public food system, if I may. Right. You understand? And guess what? We went through the same thing. We call it the bait and switch, where they present all this good stuff in front of. Hey, I got candy goods and da 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 da. And when you get to the school, they spitting on you. Right. You understand? Right. It goes so much separate but equal. Talking about books. It's all a game, man. It's all fugazi, and it's been done over and over again because they want what they want, and we trying to somehow figure out how can we be a part of it, and we'll never be a part of it. The Lord did not want us to be a part of it. He calls for us to separate from these people. That's right. Guys, and that separation comes from us loving each other first. Right. Be willing to correct each other first, and say, you know what, before you send your kids down there, maybe we should explore this option first. Right. You understand? Maybe we look at the value that we have within each other before we cast our goddamn pearls before swine. You understand? In all facets of life. It's not just about the day in and day out process. How much of your life do you dedicate to something that don't mean something? And it destroys you. Well, what are you giving over to somebody who does not value what you're giving over to? How about we give every goddamn thing that you got to the Most High Power, man. Bring it in this school and give it to somebody who values what you all have to offer. Otherwise, you'll wind up knowing that your children are dead or in graves, and somebody took full advantage of it, and you may get a goddamn letter. Right. And it's just like joining the military. You go off and fight for a goddamn country that does not love you, don't give a goddamn thing, don't give a two crabs about you. Right. And if you lose your life, they send a goddamn flag home to your parents. Same thing. Bait and switch over and over and over and again. Right. Over and again. You give your best and they shit on it, Salaki. Right. And you stuck with the consequences right there in front of our faces. So what are you gonna give? What give your best to something that's gonna have value, and that's in I.S.U.P.K, man. Bring your best in here. Give your best in here, man. Otherwise, you'll be maybe waiting for a letter to come home, a flag, like whatever they do, ain't it? Right. Present it to your mother. Just like there, you get a letter saying, hey, your child, what's the name of the school again? The Carlisle School. And it's years and years and years, and you got to go find this stuff, man, because they hide it. And when you find out, then you scratch your head like, why didn't I know about it? Right. Why didn't I know about all the inventions that we've given to America? Why didn't I know about all the positive things that we've given over to this goddamn empire? Because they want to destroy your everything about you. Your self-esteem, your confidence, your swagger, you know what I'm saying? Your pride, your countenance. They have a fierce countenance, right? Right. Where our countenance at? We cower when it's time to goddamn fight, man. Right. It's time to put on your spirit and give value to something that gives value to you. That's right. And that's in I.S.U.P.K, man. Right. On the Command and Journey Home. Yeah, right. That's what I learned, brother. Salaki.
Right. No, Most High Christ. The water for that, sir. You know, keep reading that article, brother.
Khan. The entire Salakia. The cause was often attributed to disease.
Right. Well, diseases like what? What was the so-called white man known for giving the native Indian? Intentionally and inadvertently.
So like smallpox?
Smallpox. Right. That's the only one we know of. Syphilis. What else? They're rapists. Right. They're rapists. Right. They're rapists. Right. What kind of STDs do you think were given to our native Indian sisters, man? Go ahead, Officer Ayathon. Yeah, HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea. You said syphilis, herpes, HPV.
Right. And other devil children. And Salaki. And just to mention the type of people that came to the coast. Right. These were prisoners that was in European confines. They released them, allowed them to come in. You understand? Right. And states like Georgia, Florida, Virginia, these were
base, brutish people.
Yeah. That's what they were. They were convicts. Right. A bunch of goddamn convicts they allowed to come in.
Right.
You know what they was about. That's right.
Good night. Nah, Most High Christ. Keep reading the article, brother.
Kind. Although abuse was often rampant at these schools.
What type of abuse? We dealing with an oppressor now. It was a known natural homosexual.
Right.
You know, you wonder about the crimes of the Catholic Church, those priests, and their natural desire, affinity for little boys. What kind of abuse were our Native Indian brothers and sisters enduring at the Carlisle school, man? Right. Go ahead, Quidon.
It's a lot of child molestation.
Molestation.
Right.
I mean, you sending your kids to school with absolute sexual deviance, man. Pedophiles. Right. That spirit has not changed. It's gotten worse.
Right.
We talked about those books. We brought up the gay BCs and My Shadow Was Pink. They have a direct attack on the children, man. Because they know if they get you while you're young, they got you for life. That's right. Was the scripture, train up a child in the way he should grow? Right. When he is old, he should not depart from it.
Right.
You teaching your kid the gay BCs, right. He's going to be a flaming homosexual his whole entire life, man. You know what happens, Salakia. You know what happens if you're gay. I'm not the baby. I'm not going to back down from my comments.
That's right.
There is a direct correlation between that lifestyle and, like my brother brought out earlier, HIV and AIDS, man. Right. Amongst other things. Keep reading that article, brother.
Khan. The entire system of Indian boarding schools has long been condemned by Native Americans as a form of cultural genocide.
Yeah, we find out after the goddamn fact. I'm talking about the bait and switch. We find out after all the trauma that we have to endure, all the children that get sent back traumatized, right. Going to the Carlisle school, you are guaranteed to come back a new being. You're going to have PTSD. Right. You've assimilated and conformed. So you're not going to be like anybody else that's on the goddamn reservation. Right. You're going to be looking down like they're less than. Right. It's confusion, man. Right. It's absolute confusion. You ain't going to stay on the reservation. You're not going to take that skill set, all those the good things that you went there for, and bring them back and serve your people. You're not going to do that. You're not going to serve your nation with those skills. Keep reading, brother.
Kind of one kind. The idea for the school, the first of its kind in America, began in 1879 with Richard Henry Pratt, a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army.
Right.
It was born out of his experience with the jailer of a group of Kiowa, Comanche, and
Arapaho
prisoners of war who were arrested by the United States and sentenced to a 3-year imprisonment at Fort Marion.
So the brainchild of the Carlisle School was this devil conceptualized the way that these prisoners were treated to children, man. No regard for the old or the young. Right. You cannot treat children the way you treat adults. Right. You can't. It don't work. Right. So this essentially is the first military school, military style school. It's a punishment. Every nigga I know that went to military school, well, not Negro, but every devil that I know, they got sent off to military school. It was because they were brutish. You know, they didn't acknowledge the rules. They didn't follow the rules. That's a punishment.
Right.
You can't even go to public school.
Right. That's
Go ahead, brother.
That's how you bring up too sloppy, because, like you said earlier, like, you can't bring these things you learn back to your people, your community. You learn something at boarding school, getting sexually assaulted, treated like crap, and going through, God knows what at boarding school. Yeah. The same parallel like when you go to these WPIs.
Right.
Like that book, His Education of the Black Man, is talking about how a brother will go to Yale or Harvard, something like that, from the hood. He goes and learns all this other, oppressor type of logic and reason.
Right.
And he starts to look at his own people like, if I did it, why the hell can't y'all?
That's right.
And the things he learns is all oppressors things.
Right.
He can't come back to the hood and bring that positive, uplifting thing because he's looking down on him, because that's how they looked at him.
That's right.
They taught him that hate more. So the Indians, all they learned was hate and having sexual deviance and be destroyed spiritually because they were overtaken.
That's right.
That's why the alcoholism is so prevalent in their communities.
Right.
It's all dealt from depression, anxiety. You know what I'm saying? It just, what's it called? It's the word I'm looking for. Cognitive dissonance.
Right.
Try to, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're trying to disassociate yourself with
right. That was heavy.
Right.
This brother here, man. We got a reader on our hands.
Right.
Go ahead, Officer Shamyar.
That's a lot of what Officer Koala bringing out about brother. You essentially have to separate yourself from your people and take abuse, right, to gain any kind of favor in this place, and then you kind of set yourself apart, like he was saying, and then here in this school, you join yourself together, and we can use your talent, whatever it is that you may bring to the table.
Right. Straight up. There's a value in us coming together, man. You got brothers from all walks of life, with all different form of skill sets or virtues, and then these brothers got ribs that got virtues. We're more powerful together than we are separated, man. Right. You focused on doing for self, like in the Christian church. They teach you to be a selfish bastard. Get yours and don't worry about nothing else.
That's right.
Don't worry about nobody else. As long as you get yours, take care of your family. Focus on your family. And that's a very evil way of looking at just living life on the planet Earth, man. We have compassion. We have empathy or understanding for one another. I recognize when my brothers are going through whatever they're going through. And I know that we're stronger when I can extend charity or brotherhood to my brother when he's going through something.
That's right.
That makes us closer. That makes our bond closer. I don't want nothing in return. I just want brotherhood in return. That's it.
Right.
Salakia. Keep reading that article, brother.
Kanawakan, which is now the old Castillo de San Marcos Fort down in St. Augustine, Florida. Landis said, and while working with these prisoners, Pratt developed his philosophy in Indian education.
And the brother brought it out earlier. Go ahead and read that sentence.
And Salakia.
No, you got it.
Oh, okay. And while working with these prisoners.
No. The next sentence. Drop down.
Oh, that philosophy is best summed up with a phrase he is often attributed to: kill the Indian, save the man.
Now, what the hell does that mean? Kill the Indian, save the man. So they have debased an Indian. They don't even consider an Indian a human being, man. And you wonder how they can deal with us so savagely. They don't look at you as being human. Black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, woman or child. That's how they can have a fierce countenance.
Right.
They look at you as less than. So why are you trying to join yourself to these people, man? Why are you trying to assimilate to their culture, to their customs, to their traditions, man? We have our own customs. We have our own traditions.
That's right.
We have our own language.
Right.
We are one family, man. We are one nation.
That's right, brother.
The Israelite School, Universal Practical Knowledge, we stand on that, man. Kill the Indian and save the man. All those things that you learned at the Carlisle School reduce you. They reduce you. You're not a man if you're worshiping white Jesus. What's manly about that? You're a pacifist now. You turn the other cheek. You become a victim when you join to the Christian church.
Right.
You become the walking personification of, weakness when you're in the Christian church, man.
Right.
We build men of war in the Israelite School, Universal Practical Knowledge, man.
Right.
You brothers in Hebrew Academy, you learned a very valuable lesson about brotherhood and warfare. You learn how to conquer yourself, conquer your spirit, to conquer your carnality, to conquer your weakness, man.
Right.
That was the most challenging thing I've ever had to endure, And I applaud any man that has the gall to stand up and to fall in those ranks, man. It's a very powerful thing what we're doing in this body, man.
Right.
Don't ever forget it. Don't overlook the sacrifices that you're making every Sunday, man. You've been at camp all Saturday, holding shamar. We are literally building you up.
That's right.
Not like in Esau's military. Build you up and then what? How do they treat the veterans? They don't give a damn about them.
Right.
We're building you up so that you can be of use, of value.
Yeah, right.
You can stand on your own 2 feet in here, okay? But you're not alone, man. You're joining your brother. You're joining your sisters in here, okay? Keep reading that article, brother.
Pratt was influenced by Puritan beliefs.
Puritans. Who were the Puritans? Who were the Puritans?
So,
Go ahead, Officer.
So like that's just a subset of Christianity.
Right. We talked about that before,
That's
right?
right.
Nothing pure about them at all.
Right.
Pure evil. Okay, keep reading.
And in the POW camp, converted 12 prisoners to Christianity.
So he destroyed those brothers, man. You converted absolute warriors of the Kiowa, the Comanche, and the Arapaho.
Right.
Converted them to what? To Christianity. What is that? It had to be demoralizing.
Right.
The sister brought it up earlier. They had to cut their hair, man. They had to shave their face. They had to put on a goddamn suit and a tie or whatever gay apparel they were wearing back then in those days.
Right.
Them shoes with the big old buckle on the front, and leprechaun joints,
Right.
the slippers. Right. It's ridiculous, man.
It's a lucky.
Go ahead,
And
sir.
the one thing that just it's a poking out, right? You got to look at the one who doing these horrible things to you, and look at an image that is similar to it, and somehow think that that's the image that's going to free you from the oppression.
Right.
You were cool before they came up with the Carlisle School.
Mhm.
Yeah, you knew your family. You know what I'm saying? You were straight.
Right.
Now you meet a devil. Now you have to cut your hair.
Right.
Now you meet a devil. Now you're changing your language. Now you meet a devil. Now you're changing the way you dress. And then you're going to introduce me to Christianity.
Mm.
And this is supposed to free me. You see how sick this is?
Right.
And it's always perpetuated throughout the earth. Jesus Christ is supposed to free you.
Right.
Talking about the blonde hair and blue eyes is supposed to free you. Well, the blonde hair, blue eyes is the same one that's trying to get me fired at my goddamn slave.
Right.
He the same one that's docking me my check 15 goddamn minutes every chance that he get.
Mm. Mm.
You only learn the truth when you come into the I.S.U.P.K.
That's right.
And that's what gives us value. That's what teaches us brotherhood. That's what gives us self-esteem. All those things allow you to stand up with your chest out and not be in fear anymore, man.
That's right.
So lock your bunkie
Nah,
up.
Most High in Christ. Get that brother a hand, man. I'm about to brush up on my cognitive dissonance. Most High in Christ. Keep reading the article. I want a brother to pull Psalm 55, 20 and 21. Keep reading.
He was able to get those 12 prisoners to help him recruit children for the Carlisle Indian School, which became the first class at Carlisle.
So these are basically like army recruiters, man. Right. You know, they go and they hunt down the children that they think will be most susceptible to.
So like Sister Dose said, she said, that sounds like what the Border Patrol is talking to think of the immigrants as complete other species, right? To desensitize the officers about the horrible way that they treat immigrants.
Right. Damn right. Get that sister a hand, man. That's a heavy point that she made, man. They shoot a Native Indian crossing the border like they shoot a goddamn coyote. Go ahead, brother.
And Salaka, and meanwhile, we'll overload a damn Air Force plane to bring goddamn Afghanistan over there.
Right. Don't even make sense.
Right.
You bringing them over here for what? They got their own land. Let them deal with their own problems, man.
Right.
But you'll force a Native Indian off their land. Right. Stolen lands.
Right.
Keep reading, brother.
Students, when they came into the school, their hair was cut.
The hair was what?
Cut.
The hair was what?
Cut.
The sister brought that out earlier.
That's right.
This is what we know. This is something that was passed down. Right. Her parents talked about this. Their hair was what?
Cut.
Keep reading.
Landis said they were put in uniforms. They were organized into regiments and units and battalions. Pratt, being a military man, he designed the program to be this very regimented structure. Part of that regimented structure was a ranking system in which the more senior students would met out punishment to their subordinates if they disobeyed orders.
Right. So brothers was being unbrotherly, to those younger students. They were preying upon those younger students, man. I remember I sent my son, he's a big boy, but he was large for his age. When I had to send him to elementary school, and they put him on the bus and they set him in the back of the bus with the older students. And man, they were bullying him because he's a child. He's got the mind of a child. Right. And these students are older. They're more seasoned. They know how to capitalize off of brutality. That's what was happening at the Carlisle school with these students. They had the unfortunate honor or dishonor of going. Keep reading.
So you can just imagine the psychological impact,
PTSD,
of that kind of a structure among Native American children and their peers. That was all part of the process of keeping discipline and keeping order at the school.
Right. So in the I.S.U.P.K, we're about order. We're about structure. We have a rank and order system in here, but it's not about treating your brother in a way that goes against these laws. We really embody the spirit of brotherhood, man. There is no malicious intent behind that training that you brothers is receiving on Sunday, going through academy, man. That is not meant to abuse you at all. It's not abusive by far, and there's an edict out right now. If you feel that way, you need to report it.
Right.
We don't do no hazing like they do in the world. You ain't pledging no goddamn fraternity. Right. Okay? But this is a brotherhood. And you're going to learn to value your brother through this process. Yeah, right. Keep reading, brother.
The government created these schools to assimilate American Indians into the dominant culture of the day. white American culture.
Right. White American culture, which is what? White supremacy, man. They're the end all be it. It's all about the so-called white man.
Right.
And you giving him his worship, him exploiting you, him taking what he wants from you, the best of the land, the best of the people, man. You know, it's a what are we doing? We're still doing that in 2021. Right. We look to this man like they are something because of the things that they have, the money that they have. And it's wrong. It's time for our people to wake up, man. Our conditions are not going to change. You know, this is insanity. What's happening to so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians? I had to wake up and get out of that stupor. Because every year it seemed like the same thing over and over again. And I wasn't getting any respite. Each year, I'm getting further, it's more demoralizing than the next. Until I came in here and I realized the value of what I'm supposed to be doing with my life each and every day. I found more pleasure in trying to gain my brothers and fish my brothers and sisters out of the world, man. Telling them that the Most High and the prophets and Yahweh Shamashiach are black. That means something, man. Keep reading.
Kanawaka says Matthew Sakataweswa Gilbert, professor and head of the department.
Yeah, just go down to the government.
Kanawaka. The government had created these schools to teach Indian students, some as young as 4 or 5 years old, industrial trades.
Like the brother Shamyar brought out earlier, industrial trades. Continue. Because they had who in the fields? Keep reading.
So that they could be useful members of American society and take that training back to Salakia, training back to their communities.
So from my understanding, they pushed the so-called Native Indian off of their homelands for white settlement. They didn't see any value in their lives. They put them on a reservation, and now they want to capitalize off of that human energy force, that human labor that's there. It's just sitting there because they know it's nothing good's happening on the reservation. They know how much dope and how much alcohol they are pumping on the reservation. Right. Keep reading.
Kanawaka. Or take that training into predominantly white communities that surrounded the Indian school.
All right, drop down to Salakia. This is a press release with regard to the Federal Indian Boarding School Initiative. And this press release was issued June the 22nd of this year, all right, by the U.S. Department of the Interior, all right. I want you to read that, brother, the highlighted section. Then who has Psalms 56? Salakia 55. You got it?
Beginning with the Indian Civilization Act of 1819.
The Indian what?
Civilization Act.
Because the Indians were uncivil. What does that word civil mean? You ever heard of civil disobedience? Right. Somebody Google it.
Right.
Go ahead, brother.
So relating to ordinary citizens and their concerns as distinct from military or ecclesiastical matters.
So now you want to civilize the Native Indian, right, that you didn't see any value in them being on your land. Right. Hence the Trail of Tears, right? There was no value then. Now all of a sudden, you want to civilize the Native Indian. Right. You want to civilize the savages. Keep reading.
The United States enacted laws and implemented policies establishing and supporting Indian boarding schools across the nation. The purpose of Indian boarding schools was to culturally assimilate indigenous children by forcibly relocating them from their families and communities to distant residential facilities where their American Indian Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian identities.
Oh, there goes the hook. Keep reading.
Languages and beliefs were to be forcibly suppressed for over 150 years. Hundreds of thousands of indigenous children were taken from their communities. The Federal Indian Boarding School Initiative will serve as an investigation about the loss of human life and the lasting consequences of residential Indian boarding schools.
Right. This is just another one of those treaties that was signed or forged between the Native Indian and the so-called oppressor. Right. Go ahead, brother.
And Salakia, I just wanted to point out how deliberate they are when they put a number on it, 150 years. So that's because they use slavery as an understanding of how many generations it takes to destroy a people. Right. Where they not the people that they first came in contact with. What? So to put 150 years on it, meaning they figured out how to destroy people, how to remake you.
Right. It takes this many years.
It takes this many years. It's real deliberate.
This many generations.
Right.
Before they are absolutely destroyed.
Before they destroyed.
And now we can do what we want with them. Good night. That's a heavy point, brother. Very heavy. How many treaties were not upheld by the so-called oppressor that he made with the Native Indian? Go ahead, brother. Over 500. Over 500. We were stuck on 300, 350, 400. It's actually over 500 treaties. And this right here is keeping in the same spirit with that. We're going to read about this. That press release is going to get buried by something else. That initiative will not be ensued. Give me Psalms 55, brother.
The book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 21.
Verse 20.
Verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
Who do you think they're talking about right here? Who could you correlate this scripture to? Go ahead, brother.
The oppressor.
The so-called oppressor, who was who?
The white man is about to slang the devil the Bible.
Damn right. Keep reading.
Oh, God. He has broken his covenant.
Right. What's a covenant?
So like I said, if I may, in the context of what we're talking about, is treaties.
It's treaties.
Come.
Right. He broke them. He broke them all.
Right.
Not just with the Native Indian, with the so-called black man.
Right.
Where the hell's my 40 acres?
That's right.
Where's my mule?
Right. Yeah, right.
Keep reading.
Come. Verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
Smooth words. Very, very smooth. Well, see, the so-called oppressor has a way. He knows how to communicate with the people that he has destroyed. Right. He knows exactly what to say to get your attention. Stimulus check. And, PPE loan. You know what I mean? We got that one scripture about a gift destroying the heart.
Right.
Pull it. Right. Somebody, you keep where you are, and then someone pull it. Ecclesiastes 7:7.
Says, but war was in his heart.
Who?
War was in his heart.
War was in whose heart? War was in the so-called oppressor's heart.
That's right.
That nation of fierce countenance. He had war on the forefront of his thinking.
Right.
War was in his heart. He wasn't trying to make peace with the Native Indians.
Right.
He saw the land and how plush the land was, and he wanted it for himself. He coveted that land, man.
Right.
Which goes against our laws. It went against their tradition. It went against the heritage of the Indian. This land belongs to everyone, right?
Right.
It's enough buffalo and deer and elk for us all to be able to survive here and live peaceably amongst each other until the so-called oppressor came in as swift as the eagle flyeth with war where?
In his heart.
War was in his heart, man. Keep reading.
His words were smooth, slocking. His words were softer than oil. Yet were they drawn swords.
Well, drawn swords, man. You know what you use a sword for? That's the first version of the peacemaker, man. Straight up and down. For war. In here, we learn that life is war.
That's right.
Unlike in the goddamn Christian church, man, you learn that this is not your rest when you come into the I.S.U.P.K.
That's right, brother.
It's the end of the fun and games, man. It's over with.
Right.
I never took delight in celebrating my goddamn birthday anyway.
Right.
Always hated Christmas with a passion because I never had enough money to buy the damn gifts that I wanted to buy. Or buy Big Mama that dumbass hat on Mother's Day. Or my father, how many ties you gonna buy your dad every year? Switching up, buying some cufflinks or some damn socks. It's always digging in your pocket, man. I mean, how long? How long are we gonna continue to be simple in this place, man? We love simplicity in this place.
Right.
The generals was talking about the damn egg crate, the milk crate challenge or whatever it is. It's ridiculous, man.
Right.
We can't see that we destroyed. We're looking at that, and it's funny to see that, but it's sad in the same breath to see our people doing that.
Right.
Every other nation is laughing. We've been made a mockery of us.
Right.
Ain't nobody holding no gun to your head making you climb up them damn crates.
Right.
You doing it because what? For one of all things. You see the sister walk away with the big handful of money, man. Seen the brother, he was paying $400 if you make it across.
Right.
$400. Who wouldn't? You living in the goddamn in abject poverty. $400 is a quick come up.
Right.
Yeah, I'll bust my ass on these crates for $400. You know what I could do with that?
Right.
I could stretch $20 and eat off $20 every a week.
Right.
400? How many weeks of living would that be?
Right.
If you're living in abject poverty, man.
That's right.
It's ridiculous what's happened to us in this place.
Yeah, right.
It's time for you to wake up.
That's right.
You so-called Black, Hispanic, Native Indian, man. It's time to wake up.
That's right.
Keep reading, brother. Let's sit on that.
Concept.
Where we at?
Yeah, from Ecclesiastes 7:7.
Yeah, time check. Yeah, Ecclesiastes 7:7. Read that.
Kind of one concert. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
Now I'm pissed the hell off, man. I'm tired of being goddamn oppressed in America or wherever the hell my people are. Your oppression is my oppression. I'm so much of a brother. I care about you not having enough.
Right.
Not having a goddamn a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of.
Right.
That's bothersome to me. I lose sleep over knowing that my brothers in this city don't have enough of whatever, man.
Right.
This is valuable. This is imperative for you to come together, man. Y'all brothers in the academy, you're going to learn that.
Right.
You look to your left and your right, that's all you got. And it ain't just about you. Keep reading.
And a gift destroyeth the heart.
Surely oppression maketh the what?
Wise man mad.
It's wise men in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, man. And we pissed off for a good reason. We mad for a good reason because we care. We absolutely care about the condition of our people. We care about what's happening at the border in those internment camps. When are you going to return the goddamn children to their families, man? When is that going to happen? Where's the news about that? Don't show me nothing about no goddamn Afghanistani falling from a C-130. I could care less. Where them babies that's trapped at the border, man? Pull them up out of those goddamn cages. I want to see a press conference on that. The hell we doing? A crate challenge. Surely oppression what?
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
What is wisdom, man? How do you become wise? Give me a precept. All these officers in here. What is wisdom?
Fear the Lord.
Who?
Fear the Lord.
Fear the Lord. Most High Christ. Go ahead, Trooper Officer Quadam. Salakia.
This is the book of Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
Right, we don't fear the Lord in America, man. We don't fear the Lord on the earth. If you Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, you need to have a bit of shame, man, and recognize that the Lord, he don't give a damn. He destroyed the whole earth and saved how many people? He don't care about you doing anything outside of what he wants you to do, what he commanded you to do. We're going to get into that tomorrow in the law class. Drop that. Give me Mark 12:31, man. So Israelite, go ahead. Oh, you there. Not used to that. It's good night.
The book of Mark, chapter 12 and 31. And the second is like, namely this.
Go to 30.
The book of Mark, chapter 12, verse 30. And thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart.
Right. We don't love the Lord. We don't love the Lord at all. Because we're not keeping his law, statutes, and commandments.
Right.
That's how you prove your love of the Most High.
That's right.
If you love me, keep my commandments.
Right.
Okay? We don't love the Lord because the Christian church is not teaching us to keep the law, statutes, and commandments.
Yeah, right.
Okay? The Muslim mosque is not teaching us that.
Right.
Every time you hear a Muslim, what they do? Revert to the Bible.
Right.
Make a reference or an inference to the prophets of the Bible.
Right.
Talk about Jesus. Well, why the hell you in Islam?
Right.
All you're going to do is talk about Christ. It don't make no sense, man. It's all confusion. I tell you where there ain't no goddamn confusion. In the Israelite school, universal practical knowledge.
That's right.
We know what the hell we stand on.
That's right.
Keep reading.
Go. And with all thy soul.
And with all thy soul, all thy being, man. That should be the vibe. You loving the Most High. Right. Wake up in the morning, put that in the forefront of your thoughts. Right. How can I serve my power today? Not yourself. You love the Lord. How are you going to love the Lord today? Right. What are you going to do to prove your love for the Most High today? What are you going to do? All you got to do is be obedient, man. That's it. Just be obedient. Keep reading.
Come. And with all thy mind. And with all thy strength.
All thy mind and all thy strength, man. You got to put everything into this.
Right.
The brother talked about it earlier. You can't be half-stepping.
Right.
What you call it? Sandbagging.
Right.
I almost said something else. You can't be sandbagging when you want to serve the Lord, man. You're supposed to be doing that with all thy might.
That's right.
Keep reading.
This is the first commandment.
That's the first commandment. So your primary initiative or objective is to love the Most High, man. Right. Give me the secondary objective.
Come, verse 31. And the second is like, namely this. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
What?
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Who is your neighbor? It's not the goddamn East Indian. Right. It's not the so-called Edomite. It's not them filthy Afghanis, refugees. That's about to be flooding. They said there's going to be at least 100 in Raleigh by the end of this week. Getting hung up over. It's going to be at least 100. I think that number is a gross deflation. Right. They're probably already here. Right. Hide your goddamn wallet. Right. Hide your kids. Right. Salakia. Hide your wife. Right. Oh, man. Keep reading, brother.
God. There is none other greater, there is none other commandment greater than these.
None other commandment greater than what?
Than these.
Sum it up. Loving who?
Thy neighbor as thyself.
Love your neighbor as yourself. Your neighbor is your brother, man. That's right. So-called Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian. Right. Okay? Today, we went in talking about the Native Indians. Strange, Judites talking about Indians because we value our Native Indian brothers and sisters, man. Right. We value all the other tribes. It's very, very important that you do that. Right. Put emphasis on recognizing and learning more about your brother and sister, man. The church swear they love God, but they don't know nothing about the Most High. Right. You start mentioning these precepts, you start talking about the law, they get lost in translation. The Lord know my heart. We don't do that in here. We live our truth, man.
Right.
Straight up and down. Ain't no faking. You can't 52 fake loving your brother in here.
Right.
Salakia. Who we at? Is that it on that?
Calvin Concept.
Oh, we'll keep reading then. Go down to 2 Corinthians 6 and 14, man.
The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness?
Right. So, in retrospect, you know, us trying to assimilate and conform to the ways of America, man, is us trying to join ourselves to darkness. Commander General YAHANNA, he showed us a different way, man.
Right.
He's gone into these scriptures and helped us understand better these ancient mysteries, man. He's seeking the Lord.
Right.
He's taught us to seek the Lord. Okay? So when we start talking about the Bible, we sound very, very strange to a Christian.
Right.
We sound very, very strange to the other nations. We know who we are. This is where we get our identity from.
Right.
And you're not going to know who you are when you yoke together with people that do not believe what you believe.
Right.
Okay? Keep reading.
Verse 15. And what concord has Yahushua with Belial?
Right.
Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel?
What's an infidel? Go ahead.
Like a fool.
Keep reading. What's an infidel?
So like y'all want to
You got it, bro.
Oh, come on. So like it's infidel out of the Google dictionary. It says a person who does not believe in religion or who adheres to a religion other than one's own.
Yeah, you can't be apathetic, man. You cannot be agnostic. Okay, you have to believe in the higher power,
Right.
which is the Most High. His name is Yahweh. You can't believe in a white Jesus. You can't be worshiping Caesar Borgia, man. You joining the Christian church, that's what you're believing in. You assimilate into the concept, the ideology of white supremacy, man. And it's an absolute lie. Okay? Keep reading.
Verse 16. And what agreement hath the temple of the Most High with idols?
Right. How are you going to join this body to Christmas and the Easter and the New Year's, man? It don't even make any sense. That's what happens when you assimilate and conform and try to join the melting pot of America, man. Keep reading.
For ye are the temple of the living power.
All those other so-called gods, there is no life in them. Those things are dead. You joining yourself to death willingly, okay? He's trying to remove your spirit from America, man. Come up out of that Christian church. Come up out of the Muslim mosque, man. If you ain't in the I.S.U.P.K under Commander General YAHANNA, man, you are not in the truth, all right? And that's my time. I'm going to pass the class off to Priest and Officer Ayathan. Oh, make sure that y'all hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, man. What is it, I.S.U.P.K North Carolina? I.S.U.P.K Fayetteville. Most High in Christ.
I.S.U.P.K security announcement, where the I.S.U.P.K started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to share themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. My I.S.U.P.K means 10th in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocation, we have the first memorial blowing of the trumpets, which is next Monday, September the 6th. Is mandatory, so you have to be there, man. You understand? If any brother wants to be, it's like if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. With that, margin. Men of Israel, we're going to render one courtesy salute to the teacher, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat, Yahweh. Class dismissed.
Priest and prophet of the Lord, gotta teach the people, exposing all the lies with the truth. Now they can see the evil. We the lost children of the Lord. YAHANNA, chopping heads off with my sword. Holy Bible, one west, one west, one west, one west, one west to their baby knee. One west, one west, yeah, one west, one west, one west to their baby knee. I'm really for my people, y'all just playing games. I'm all about the truth, we are not the same. I'ma shoot it to you straight, wouldn't love to slay. U.P.K, y'all finished, bitch, yeah, you know the name. Started on the streets back in 69. Read it in the records, now I want what's mine. Came up from the dust, now you see the shine. Ain't no cowards in my camp, all we know is grind. Priest and prophet of the Lord, gotta teach the people, exposing all the lies with the truth. Now they can see the evil, we the lost children of the Lord. YAHANNA, chopping heads off with my sword. Holy Bible, one west, one west, one west, one west, one west to their baby knee. One west, one west, one west, one west. Hey. Well, it's verse 2 when it's game time. Shield of David, no game sign. Nothing but truth that we bring to you. Change of the spirit, we breaking loose. Repent for your sins and from within. Become a new man and then you stand. For all the people who need you. Damn right we gon' teach him. Cause the preacher man be lying, telling all them lies, but he still wants your ties. For the new car he drives, it's not